button right away. We're going for a hot drop. They can listen to our real preamble.
Okay.
It'll be great. All right.
Wow.
There it is. Live.
Mm-hmm.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, episode 95. Yeah, I think it's 95, where we are going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett in its entirety, focusing on the finale, of course, because it just aired. We're going to give some thoughts on the season as a whole, look back on our month together. I am your host, Corey, joined by your other host, Mr. EckhartsLadder. Justin, how are you doing on this Boba Fine day?
I wish you would have warned me to make a pun beforehand.
Mine wasn't a good pun, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm okay.
That's good.
What about you?
I'm good. This is the way we work out our feelings. So I'm glad
Yeah.
to be here with you,
So
with all of you.
just grunting.
Star Wars podcast is how men communicate.
Men communicate in three ways: grunting, Star Wars podcasts, and sports betting. I don't know what the third one is.
I thought it would be like football, farting. Is that one? I don't know. It's a whole thing. Men only want one thing, and it's disgusting. Boba Fett.
Star Wars podcast.
All right. Well, what a good episode we've had today.
So, all right, let's talk about Star. Well, before we do, we got a bit of news roundup. We got the official drop date for Kenobi. It will be
May 25th.
Yes, the original Star Wars Day, before Kathleen Kennedy and her goons changed it. I don't think it was her.
Why was the 25th Star Wars Day?
That's when the first one released, May 25th.
Oh, I thought it was another pun thing, not the release date. Okay.
No,
May the 4th just works so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So why are we trying to assign blame to this? We should be thanking whoever did it.
Well, it's mostly
Thank
just
our
a thing
corporate
for
overlords.
people to call other people fake fans if they don't know. Like I'm about to call you later.
I don't care. I don't like the movies.
Okay, fair enough. So we've got that coming. There has been rumors of another Star Wars project under production called Grammar Rodeo. You heard about that one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So it's alongside. We've got Ahsoka coming. We've got Andor. 2 seasons of Andor now, apparently, at least.
Nice.
Acolyte, the Book of Boba Fett.
Is that 2 seasons, like the 12 episodes, and then it's 6 and 6? So it's like 1 episode or 1 season, but it's 2 seasons?
I don't think so. I think where it came from is Diego Luna or somebody said that they're working on the second season right now. Basically, they gave it away accidentally.
So it's not like the production pins for everything else?
No, I don't think so. Production pins are usually a good source of leaks, but but no. Apparently there's going to be 2 seasons. So
there's also the Switch ports for The Force Unleashed, I think, coming out, and they were able to snag Sam Witwer for that as well.
Yeah, I might actually try it because I've never played the game. It's like the Wii version, which I've never played before, and I hear it's actually a little bit different.
Yeah, they had like some different vehicles in each of them. I think like the IDT was only in one version of it, and there's like some Felucian warriors that are different in them. There was a fair number of
the
differences.
Nebula and the Assault Frigate get swapped around or something.
Yeah,
I thought
something like that. There's a few of those older games that have some significant differences in the older ones. But like, yeah, Charlie and I were talking last night, and I think he mentioned it that they got Sam Witwer for it, and I just know anytime he comes up, he's just living through trying to talk to Sam Witwer about whether or not he'd heard any rumors about The Force Unleashed, and that's. Have we ever? I don't think we've ever told that story on the podcast.
We should talk about it. Do you wanna go with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started it, so you can regale us.
Okay, so I forget how I even met Sam.
Wasn't it just through Squadrons, like on Twitter? You and Ian were gonna play with him,
Yeah, so I think
and
Ian,
Alex.
yeah, I think it was Ian Fraser, Alex, Star Wars Explained, myself, and Sam were playing Squadrons, and I don't know. He just really likes the game, so we played a few more times, and then eventually the three of us, so me, you, and then our friend Charlie, who's in the comments right now, and Sam started playing, and we'd talk about a bunch of stuff, and Charlie didn't quite know at the time. I don't know. Did he know that Sam Witwer was? I think he
He
knew he was an actor,
No,
but I
he
don't know.
thought Sam Witwer was just like a random streamer. And for those who don't know, Sam Witwer is the
Oh,
voice of Starkiller and also like who Starkiller was kind of modeled off of for his physical appearance because a lot of games kind
he
of do
looks
that.
exactly like him.
Yeah.
He's in a bunch of stuff. He plays a bunch of Star Wars characters as well. Like he
Yeah.
does the voice for the Emperor sometimes. And anyway, so
Darth
we're just
Maul is the big one.
Darth Maul, yeah, of course. We're just shooting the shit, and uh, Charlie, I forget what exactly he says about the only thing we heard rumors of was
Yeah.
Force Unleashed 3.
Charlie started talking about rumors about Force Unleashed 3 being made, not realizing who the hell he was talking to about it.
Yeah. And I don't remember how we reacted. There's a clip of it. I don't even want to watch it, to be honest.
I thought he was joking. But anyways, that's our Force Unleashed story for the day. So Switch port, I guess it'd probably be the older Nintendo version that's getting primarily pulled from there. But
hmm
uh,
I want to play the super new Strikers game,
yeah,
the new soccer game.
there's Fortnite skins as well.
Nice. But no, but you're writing off soccer. Doesn't that look cool? Do you ever play the old one?
No,
The Super Mario Strikers one?
I don't play sports.
Okay, but you don't have to play sports to like Mario Tennis.
Never played Mario Tennis. I never
What
played
the
Wii
fuck is
Sports.
wrong with
I
you?
never played Mario Tennis. I've played like NHL 99, I think I had.
Okay.
98. I forget which one I had. I had the good one. But
Well, all of them of that era were pretty cool. I think what you can do is play like pro clubs, which is a feature that FIFA has. Basically, like the three of you, like I don't know how big the teams are. I don't know if they're 5-on-5 or whatever, but you basically make a team. You all control one character, and you go and play against other teams of real people. So that could be fun for us to do. It's going to be the one thing I think that gets me to pop my Switch out of its dusty corner that it's in right now.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Legends, so that got me to do it. I haven't played since Pokemon Unite, so
Are you
it's
liking it, Pokemon?
yeah, I'm enjoying it. I do think it's kind of like the first use of a new engine or
Mm-hmm.
gameplay style that'll hopefully get fleshed out in the future. It's very light on the battling, which kind of sad.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so what were your thoughts overall on first, I guess, the finale, and then how you're feeling about the season of Book of Boba Fett now that it's all
Okay.
wrapped up?
Um, I thought the finale, unfortunately, was probably one of the weaker episodes, which is always kind of a bummer. Uh, the show just needed to be longer. Like we talked about this kind of after episode 5 came out. We were a little worried that they were going to go in too much of a detour, and I remember saying I'm going to be a little unimpressed if episode 6 ends up being another detour, and it
Yeah.
was arguably even more so of one. Because I really liked the Boba stuff that we did get. I just wanted more of it. Um, yeah, so I hope there's a season 2, and I hope they go into season 2 with like a bit more confidence into like the fact that Boba Fett can hold the show if he's given time. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it all.
Yeah, like the finale actually made me more skeptical of the idea that there'd be a season 2 than going
Mhm.
in. Like I've always been kind of not 100 like I not 100% on board with the idea that it would get a sequel, but then or get
Mhm.
a second season. But especially with the finale, I don't know, because I was thinking like, oh, maybe they're setting Cad Bane up as this like villain for Boba in over the course of a few different arcs.
Mhm.
But Boba, as far as like the show goes, unless you're aware of mostly cut stuff from the Clone Wars, then Boba's entire interactions with Cad Bane span two
Mhm.
scenes here. And I thought they were both really good scenes, but
Mhm.
it was still Just he meets him, then he kills him.
Yeah, I was actually really glad they killed him. And I thought his death was handled much more interestingly in this version than in the cut content from Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, like I mean, it's pretty heavy-handed in what it was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like it was very ham-fisted.
Yeah, with the gaffy
But
stick. Yeah.
yeah, as soon as he was on the ground, it's like, okay, he's pulling out the stick and he's gonna kill him with the stick.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, oh, Cadbane is just Boba if Boba hadn't been able to move on. And
Mm-hmm.
Cadbane is actually kind of a symbol of all the things that Boba's saying he wants to stop. The one kind of motivation we got from him of the bounty hunters and assassins or mercenaries going out and doing this pointless crap for people who are going to fail anyways and be bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
So Cad Bane kind of throwing himself away for the Pikes. And I mean, it would have been nice to hear Boba say a bit more of that to Cad Bane,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like it kind of comes across anyways.
Yep. I was on the topic of there being a season 2. I was definitely a little surprised. I was expecting we were gonna get the hook when that like second to last scene where they're in the hut, like in the desert survey office, which is hilarious. I just imagine like once a year somebody opens the door and goes, "Yep,
It's
there's
still
desert
there.
there," closes the door, files the report, and gets back to crime. Um, but yeah, I thought that was where we were gonna get the hook to season 2, and because we saw the one of the characters talking to another and it just turned out to be the mayor. I thought we were going to see him like hologramming in or having the big bad guy
Mhm.
hologramming in, you know what I mean, to show that the conflict is kind of bigger than we know, but they didn't do that, and I
Yeah.
kind of respect that in a way.
Yeah, like I don't know if there'd be some sort of hook to do something with Freetown and with Cobb Vanth as a potential season 2 thing, but I actually
Hmm.
missed the fact that there was a mid-credit scene because it's very
Oh yeah,
short and like it's Star Wars, so you don't
it's
always
very
necessarily
short.
expect
Yeah.
it. Like we did get it at the end uh of season 2 of The Mandalorian for the Book of Boba
Hmm.
Fett promo. Like I finished the episode, I started just skimming through the credits and I missed it that way just by
It was
jumping
very
ahead.
short.
But
Yeah, somebody warned me in my chat that there was a mid-credit scene, so I was like scrolling ahead and I didn't see it because it was so short.
yeah,
So I was like, whatever, I guess I'll wait anyway. But yeah, it was a very, and I mean that was a bit of a. I mean, I find it hard to call a mid-credit scene disappointing because it's kind of extra anyway. But it's
yeah.
like obviously he survived. Did anybody really think he died?
Yeah, like I did my first video having not seen that scene. It was only when someone pointed it
Yeah,
out
I
to me
noticed that.
in the comments, but like I was kind of annoyed at how they handled it before then, where it's like, okay,
Hmm.
Cobb Vanth, we're all pretty sure he survived, but it's the kind of thing that Star Wars ends up doing a lot, where it's like you want to have the impact of him being gunned down as
Hmm.
this character we all like, uh, but you also want to have it like very easy for them to come back.
Hmm.
And I feel like they like the way that Cobb Vanth was handled there, it kind of is lessened by showing him in the back to tank later. But like the the bartender even says like, oh, he was gunned down, not oh, he's resting back at Freetown. Like he
Hmm.
doesn't say he's gunned down, but he's still alive. Also, he's in the truck, and we take him inside. He
Yeah.
just because yeah, when once you have him, it, it is it's kind of a cheap way to
Hmm.
get that shock while still using the character. And I just wish they would have been more upfront if they were going to do either
Hmm.
kill him or don't.
Yeah. And I'm glad they didn't kill him. He's actually one of my favorite
Yeah.
like new characters. Like Timothy Oliphant is so great with him as well. Like I am compared to like if it were Cobb Vanth or Cad Bane,
Cod
Jesus.
Vanth is one of the Mon Calamari one from last
Yeah.
season.
If it were one of them to come out, obviously for me, Cobb Vanth, 10 times out of 10. He's a way more interesting character. The
Mhm.
actor is amazing. Um, and he brings something really different to the role, I find. It's
Yeah,
just
he's very much a Western character. Like
yeah.
he's
He's
pretty like he's the only
personable,
one
like
acting like he's in the old West on
mhm.
Tatooine.
Yeah, he's the wiry gunslinger in appearance and personality. I saw someone write that and I was like, that's basically the exact description of him. And
Yeah.
um But yeah, he's just like he's not like he's charismatic in a way that like the Mandalorian and Boba Fett just aren't.
Yeah.
So it's good that he's around.
Yeah, like with the Mandalorian, at least it's like an endearing lack of charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Boba kind of just bumbles through stuff this season,
Yeah.
which like he was fine. I didn't dislike it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
he's he's got just enough of his stoicism while still making some random comments that it kind of
Mm-hmm.
is almost fighting against itself. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really one to complain about the old hard ass Boba being gone though, because
yeah,
like I don't know, I, maybe it's because I never had that like an enamoration, is that even a word? I was never
yeah,
enamored with the character, I guess.
yeah.
Um, like some people were, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
do. I
like,
just wish he had more time. And I feel like setting up
mhm,
Cad Bane as a way for him to really explain what he's doing and why he's doing it, other than just
mhm,
the Tuscan angle. Like I
mhm,
think that would have been really like I love the Cad Bane. It's not even a cameo because he's like the best choice for someone to put in that role
yeah, yeah,
of kind of this foil for Boba. And because they had the 2 episodes of Din, which I liked like as standalone Star Wars entertainment pieces,
mhm.
but those were 2 episodes where we could have seen like Boba and Cat interact, or
Some flashbacks maybe, or yeah,
yeah, it's just more opportunities for Boba and Fennec in particular
mhm,
to kind of show what they want to do,
yeah,
and Cat is the perfect way to have them work against someone coming from that similar background who can just let Boba actually show
mhm.
something.
Yeah, I gotta say too, Cad Bane, I thought he was great. Like just generally in the last episode as well. I know there were some. Honestly, I think the people complaining about the complaints about Cad Bane were probably more present than the actual complaints.
Yeah,
Um, there were some people who were messing around with the appearance to see what he'd look like, but I mean, I don't think. I honestly think fans were pretty happy with his appearance, and I thought he looked even better in the finale.
yeah,
He looked perfect in my opinion. And the voice was great. Like his
yeah,
lines, I thought were really well done. He was menacing. I like how he addressed the fact that like, why the fuck do people keep fighting Mandalorians? Like, we got that in season 2 of the Mandalorian as well,
yeah,
where Din Djarin gets in a friggin' gunfight against somebody, like a duel. Like, why would you ever do that?
yeah.
I need to get
You're just
one
gonna
shot
lose.
off. You need to get 35 in my eye hole. Good luck. But yeah, he took it to him though. Like, and I haven't seen too many unhappy Cad Bane fans, and I think for a good reason. For one, they do the character justice in appearance, but he's also a total badass. He
Yeah,
takes it. He takes it to Boba. He almost beats him. And the good thing is now they also have a lot more time to tell stories. This is just the end point, assuming he is dead. Like we've already seen him in the Bad Batch. They've got a ton of time between the Clone Wars and now. Like they've got over 20 years. So if I were a Cad Bane fan, I'd be happy because he's going to be in a lot more stuff. I wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised if he's in live action again either.
Okay, so I have a season 2 pitch for you now. Then
Okay.
this is this is the villain origin story for Toto. So season 2 arc is Toto setting up, like taking over the Pike Syndicate. There's actually was supposed to be a second post credit scene. They thought it would spoil too much, where it's
hmm
basically just the announcement scene for Book of Boba Fett,
hmm
where instead of Boba coming in and shooting Bib Fortuna, it's
hmm
Toto coming in, shooting a Pike, kicking them off their chair, and sitting down with I
Like
don't know
kicking, you mean
the
like hovering and like knocking against
yeah
him
like
and
a
like yeah
repulsor push
yeah.
with that
I'm
Wookiee
in.
Jedi from the Jedi training episode of the Clone Wars is there as his
There you go.
deputy.
Yeah, no, I'm in.
All
And
right,
Gascon as well from the Clone Wars. They'll solve mysteries together.
there, Lucasfilm, you can use that. No royalties
No
necessary.
royalties, yeah.
Welcome.
It's so beautiful. We just want to see it brought to life. I'm a little surprised they didn't show him because this show's been giving droids a lot of love.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe he's destroyed. We can all just think about that.
all right, what are the chances of Cad Bane not being dead?
I'd put her at 50-50 because like especially
Yeah.
with the Cobb Vanth stuff. Like I
I
know a
was
lot of
like,
it made out of
yeah.
the blinking lights. I don't think that necessarily matters, but
Mhm.
like dude wasn't bleeding. That's usually a good sign if you want to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's definitely a chance that we get a shot of him like face up looking into the sky and then
The gasp, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I'd like his little death rattle he gave off though. Is like when he dies, he lets out like a sound and it's really funny.
Dana thought he was a robot, so
Yeah, well,
maybe
I
he just
mean,
doesn't have any internal organs.
you see, it would be kind of cool. I'm generally not a fan of bringing him back, but if they make it so like he actually needs his respiratory tubes and stuff like integrated into his body and he turns half cyborg, that could be kind of sick.
Yeah. Cyborgs are
That could be
always kind of sick.
like like kind of Fennec Shand like, but
Yeah.
um not like even more extensive, like more Darth Vader than Fennec Shand. That would be kind of cool.
If they need a villain bounty hunter again, who else do you think they go for? Bosk?
Well,
That's where I'm kind of coming from with it.
yeah,
Because like
if it's villain
Santi
bounty
and
hunter,
him and Boba are on the same team now.
yeah, and Dengar's got some lore about him now too, where he's like, remember, did you see that? He's like the Dengar is all weird now.
No, I didn't see. I mean, to be fair,
What's his
Dengar
name?
always kind of lame, but
Well, no, I forget what his name is. He's like it was probably him in the Rise of Skywalker for a minute.
so Dengar
Oh,
was one of the voices with the Jedi.
look up Rothgar Dang.
Rothgar Deng.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh my god, that picture.
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. So people are saying there's a lot of there's evidence that that might be Dengar now.
Ew.
All
No.
right. I
I
like
need to
the
rewatch
design.
Rise of Skywalker.
He's only in it for a
'Cause
minute. He's on Kajimi, I think.
I watched it in theaters and then I haven't watched it since.
Yeah, I watched
So
it. I watched it once while I was really drunk after Burial one night.
did Aura Singh die in? Yeah,
Don't they say in
she's died
Solo
off
that?
screen. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Aura Singh
she's
would be
still
cool
alive in
because she's got
Legends.
that Boba connection as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Cad Bane is, I think, the coolest of the other bounty hunters, anyways. So maybe I'm just sleeping too much on the Dengar and Bosk of it all. I've never thought Bosk was that cool. So
No, for me, if it was going to be the bounty hunters, it'd be what's it called? The other two. What are their names again?
which other
Uh,
two?
the other two bounty hunters. What are their names?
From what?
Yeah, the Gand and the other one,
Oh, Zuckuss and Vorlom?
Zuckuss and Vorlom. Yeah, I always like
They're
them.
more of the comedy duo if you were gonna try to slide them in
Yeah, I just
somewhere.
thought they had the coolest designs, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd be up for that. I think IG-88's
IG-88
got
would be
enough.
cool. Yeah.
Well, we've got IG-11 from Mando now. He's kind of had his
In my opinion, though, IG-88 is the coolest bounty hunter. I don't know.
okay. He
He's
does
just.
destroy the Death Star, and then the rebels take credit for it. So,
Did you ever play Shadows of the Empire?
no.
There's a scene. So in that game, you fight Boba Fett in a very difficult level called Gand Spaceport. You know, okay, sorry, I'm getting on a tangent. You know how they've got that theme for Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back, where it's like dun 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 dun.
Boba
I'm
Fett.
doing the Imperial March, but
Boba Fett. It
no, I'm
can't
doing
be
the
his theme
Imperial
if it doesn't say Boba Fett.
Fett, dude. No, I forget what it's called. I looked at this on stream, but he's got like that theme where he's like, I think it's called The Bounty Hunter Departs or something.
Mhm.
Anyway, they play that in the Gand Spaceport, or not Gand Spaceport, whatever, Gaul Spaceport. And it's just ever since then, I've got like, I get a little bit of PTSD when I hear that fucking
Mm.
song. So I'm like, because you got to fight him, then you got to fight Slave One afterwards. It's like a fucking Dark Souls mission.
Did you? Was it just me that when hearing the full theme song at the end was like, wait, has it been this the whole time? Do I need to go back and?
No, I knew it wasn't. I was wondering why they did that. But anyway, I was disappointed they didn't have Boba Fett's kind of original music anywhere in the show, in
Oh
hindsight.
well.
But it's because it's so cool.
Yeah, I mean they mix it up with like the Mando theme and everything, but
That was sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, like there was
That was sick.
definitely places to fit it in if they needed to.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay, so I think that the cheesiness is a good segue, because that was probably my biggest issue with the last episode, and a lot of people are kind of talking about this as well. It just didn't have, I think, the same polished feel that a lot of the, like, there was a few continuity errors. One thing I noticed um Chrysanthemum kept getting injured and then walking it off. Basically, he'd be like,
Yeah.
he'd take like 10 blaster shots. He'd need people supporting him walking down the street, and then he'd be running away a minute later. It's like, goddamn, I know Wookiees have that healing factor, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would be even worse if it was coming right after episode 5. Like we
Mhm.
we had a bit of a drop to like Filoni's not a bad director, just what Bryce Dallas Howard did was
No, she's great.
just fantastic, and
Mhm.
then this would have been probably standing out as even
Yes.
slightly worse compared to that if there hadn't been Filoni's in the
Yeah,
middle.
I kind of made a video about that where, like, you could tell Filoni's learning, but he's nowhere near where Bryce Dallas Howard is. Like, the way she uses environments and stuff is just like completely next level. Where, like, with Dave Filoni, it sometimes feels like he's just trying to get through the plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when Bryce Dallas Howard is doing it, she like has this flair, and like all, like, the way she uses. There's like scenes from her episodes of The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, that like are so memorable. Like, even just little things. Like, when I think of The Mandalorian, I think of that scene where the crane is pulling his ship out of the water.
Yeah.
Or in like The Book of Boba Fett, there's like a scene where when they're repairing the N1 and there's like the little skitters running around and stuff, and it's just like she just nails it. And Filoni's very serviceable, but not to that level. And I think Rodriguez is probably even worse for Star Wars than that.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like uh just the combination of the writing with Rodriguez not being like the best match for that, but there was still like choices with how the action was done that
Mm-hmm.
didn't work regardless. And like the Titan episode last season of Mandalorian wasn't my favorite, but
Mm-hmm.
like the action I thought was still really good. And I was actually kind of, I think what I said at the time, uh because when we were talking about the announcement of Book of Boba Fett being under him, was that I enjoyed the action in the Titan episode, but I didn't really want to show, like I was kind of just expecting Boba Fett to be a lot of that. But like the
Mm-hmm.
action here really didn't match up to even that, and it was that's just kind of a weird disconnect there for me.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think that it was. People are saying it's incompetence, and I think he's way too good of a director to say he's incompetent. I don't think that's the
Yeah.
case. I think, and somebody put it in a really interesting way in one of my chats. Like, he directed it like A New Hope in a way,
Yeah.
where A New Hope is not a very well It's like the choreography for the fights in that movie is not very interesting. The characters are standing in a hallway, they're getting shot at, and that's long sections of the movie, and it's kind of silly. And
Yeah.
this is a lot of what that was. It's just like, we're in a much different time, because, like, if you pay attention, there are lots of little details that were clearly choices. Like, everyone's talking about I'm sure if you've been on Twitter, you've seen everyone's pulling apart the video of that guy spinning and doing
Yeah.
a shot. It's like, that's not like objectively bad directing. That's someone making a decision that a lot of us don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a choice that's made like a lot in Star Wars to just have those kind of weird parts of fights. Like Obi-Wan does it in episode 4. Anakin and
Hmm.
Obi-Wan stand on a table for a good 15 minutes, I think it is, spinning their
Hmm.
lightsabers around each other. So like
Hmm.
weird kind of flares and fights is definitely not unique to that. But it is kind of interesting
Yeah.
to point out A New Hope similarities there, because like my kind of takeaway after the finale was more that I think Book of Boba Fett is going to end up aging like the prequels did almost,
Yeah, I
where
agree.
like in the moment there's a lot of I think legitimate issues people have with it or quibbles or complaints or whatever that partially come from what your expectations might be going in,
Mhm.
or either the quality level, specifics of plot, or whatever going in from Mandalorian season 2. And there's some other complaints not quite like that about what started off as really good treatment of the Tuscans and analogies there for other more real world issue connections and people being happy about that. And then they just kind of get killed off screen and used as a prop, kind of undercutting all the more positive elements earlier. But
Mhm.
once you kind of move on uh, in time from right now, and you end up with people like rewatching the series in the future without those expectations of like, oh, what are they going to do with the series? Are we going to get whatever quality of action? I think there will
Mhm.
be more of the kind of mimi love of individual scenes
Mhm.
in a way that like if Mandalorian season 1 or 2 are going to be taken more as the original trilogy, then Book of
Yeah.
Boba Fett is kind of the prequels of that situation.
Yeah, and I want to say too, if the Mandalorian had done that spin, no one would have looked twice at it.
Yeah,
I don't think anyway. And maybe for a minute, but like I think part of the issue was the characters. But I actually agree. I think that this show has a lot of heart to it, which
yeah,
is kind of like what the prequels have too. Like I think the show is a really interesting mix, just like the prequels, of some cheesy execution, which is all of the prequels.
yeah,
Um, some stuff that doesn't quite work out, but is still fun. Like, say what you will about this show, it's never a drag.
yeah,
Like, in that's like the exact same as the prequels. Like, listen, if I'm watching Empire Strikes Back, if I'm watching Attack of the Clones, there are a lot of parts I don't like, but they're going to really cool places. It's full of creativity. It's fun. It's bright. Like I get the exact same thing from this show, and it also
yeah.
has some spattering of some really good bits, just like the prequels do, especially with Episode 3. Like some legitimately really good stuff. Yeah, for me though, I actually like I don't even need to be there because I'm kind of already in the I already really like this show, like
Right.
especially the first 4 episodes. I love the setting. I love like for me bringing Max Rebo back. It's a little thing, but like that's
Yeah.
something that like that's a. It's stupid to say that a blue elephant's a big part of your childhood, but like when like I used to watch Return of the Jedi literally every day. I've seen every fucking angle of that blue elephant, um, even when he's hiding the back of Jabba's sail barge. So it's like to bring stuff like that and then tie it in with new stuff, and then also bring in the annihilator droids and bring in all this stuff from across Star Wars. It's cool for me.
Yeah, there's a ton of little things like that. I think I've sounded a lot more negative on the series tonight than I actually am. Like I really enjoyed a lot of it. Like most of it. The even the complaints I have about it are just minor stuff that I didn't like that didn't really interfere with my ability to enjoy the show. I
Hmm.
actually really enjoyed this episode. And I thought reaction to it would be a bit more positive than it actually has been. But
Hmm.
like obviously some of the action was just kind of weird. Like and didn't make the most sense, like shooting
Hmm.
20 feet behind people or everyone hiding behind the car.
Yeah.
But in terms of like doing what they needed to do uh, for it all to work out, I thought it accomplished that pretty well. The Rancor Empire State Building climbing was fun. Seeing the Scorpion in live action was really cool.
Yeah.
Uh, the just the something that I've really loved throughout it is the use of aliens, which just we
Hmm.
don't see. Like I've been trying to think of it, and that scene that we had at the start with Cad Bane, Mock Shays, and the Pike boss, that's
Hmm.
gotta be the longest scene of just aliens talking that we've ever had. Like
Outside of
potentially
maybe the Trade
including
Federation, yeah.
yeah, well even the Trade Federation,
Even
it's like
including that, yeah.
the two uh it's the the two Neomoidians that are talking to each other for like 2 sentences after Sidious leaves the scenes, we don't even really have much
Mhm.
of that kind of thing. Like the
Yeah, you're
Separatist
right.
Council meeting, the Jedi Council
There's always
meetings,
a human there.
there's the human talking. You'll get one line from one of the other aliens because it is just it's much harder to make characters out of non-humans because they have different facial structures. They're more expensive to make. Like you can't relate
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
the emotions of an alien the same way you can from a human character, but it is more expensive to do. So seeing that use when they could have just as easily made it be other human characters if they really wanted to, I
Mhm.
did really enjoy that, and it's something I hope we see a lot more in other series.
Mhm. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, and I think that this show is showing us that you know aliens can work just as well.
Yeah.
Especially like I mean, for one, everyone loved Garza as the Twi'lek. Everyone, I mean, come on, everyone loved like the Gamorreans, which is funny considering they're Gamorreans. So it's just like I don't know, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And we're getting to the point where not like we have any part of it, where they can, pull off. It seems like they can seemingly or just pull off these aliens at will. I don't know if that speaks to the budget of these shows or the technology, but
I think in this situation, it kind of just gets back to the same thing you were saying earlier with Max Rebo and all the little world building elements, where
Mhm.
it probably is just coming from the showrunners or the writers, directors, just wanting to put those things in and finding a way to do it that worked out. Like Cad Bane is kind of the biggest plot relevant one, but a lot
Mhm.
of the characters that ended up uh, being aliens probably didn't necessarily have to be. It was probably just, oh, like I want to have this guy be a Twi'lek for the major domo, and
Well,
hopefully that's
yeah.
something that they do see. Oh, that worked out there. We can do it again.
I love the Major Domo for one. I like the first episode I was a bit unsure because he was walking the line
Yeah,
between silly and like a really funny person that I've probably known in law school.
yeah,
And in this episode, he was just like fully this is somebody that exists in the world, like
yeah.
probably in Lucasfilm.
Well, it's one of the things with Cobb Vanth as well, where it's like he's from Tatooine, isn't he? Like no one else talks like that there.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's just that's just him doing things that are kind of weird, but it ends up working out. And it did take me a while to warm up to the major domo, but by the end I was shipping him and so it's
Yeah, that's like people are. I was kind of the same with Pelly actually because
yeah,
they both ham it up. Like, let's be honest, Pelly even more so, but she's just like it's she's just lovable in a way.
yeah.
like, um,
She almost
and
has like child actor energy in some of the
yeah, totally,
delivery.
yeah, totally. So like, if they're together, and I'm not going to be mad if they're together in the season 3 of The Mandalorian. When they inevitably have to stop by a Tatooine because the secret Jedi temple's located there.
Luke couldn't even be bothered to deliver Grogu, and first he has to send him off with
I was
arts.
so thankful when Luke didn't show up. I
Yeah,
love Luke, obviously, and we'll talk about episode 6 in due course. But he would have dominated the episode, I
yeah,
think. And I'm personally for my biggest gripe with this season, actually, as a whole, and definitely the last episode was Grogu.
yeah,
I love the character. I love the relationship, but I don't love him leaving Luke's Jedi Temple.
yeah. Especially now instead of in the Mandalorian,
Hmm.
if it was going to happen. So I guess should we maybe talk about episode 6 then before
Yeah, yeah.
unless
Let's
there's
talk
any like
about.
final thoughts on the Scorpion in particular before we move on.
No, the Scorpionek was amazing.
Yeah,
We both put out. Did you put your video out today?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we both put out videos on the Scorpionek. Just awesome the way they brought that to life. And yeah, I mean, not much to say. It was very intimidating.
Almost as impressive as our ability to get 5 to 8 minutes out of a 3 sentence paragraph.
Well, there's a bit more in the.
I went with the Scavenger's Guide to Droids more so than
Oh, really?
other
There was
stuff.
quite a bit in the in the new Essential Guide to Droids, there was
Yeah, I
whole
got like
page on it.
the battle uh of Kola and all that stuff, but I mentioned like them getting shipped off to BIS, but at the
Mhm.
end, I think like the fact that some people turned them into turrets was fun.
I see. I didn't even catch that part because yeah, but
I'm all about those RPG source books, babe.
baby, I'm all about them. No, I thought they
Give
were.
me
I
the
thought they were
books.
cool. Yeah, not much else to say about that.
All right, so the choice,
Mhm.
episode 6. I'm calling it
Mhm.
that. I called that. If this was the Mandalorian, it would have been called that.
It was chapter 6.
No, I'm the
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 choice.
title.
What was it actually called? I
I
don't
don't know. I
know.
assume it was like 7 words because the Book of Boba Fett titles have all been a lot longer.
Wasn't it a
Maybe.
man came from the desert or something?
Uh, yeah,
From the desert come a stranger.
yeah. Because
Cool title, by the way.
the first episode is Stranger in a Strange Land. Then we have
Hmm.
From the Desert Comes a Stranger. Then we
Hmm.
have like Don't Give Yourself a Stranger.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about 6. Obviously the big. Was the most high profile episode of the season for good reason. It was we saw Luke again, of course. We saw Grogu. The show goes fully into Mandalorian season 3. Like
Yeah,
mask off. The last one, it was kind of I think a pretty reasonable detour because showing what the Mando was up to kind of explained a lot. This time it was like not even pretending. It's like
yeah.
this is your intro to season 3.
That's what
My
I.
guess,
We
sorry,
got
go ahead.
Cad Bane at the start of that episode,
Mhm.
and then it's like, okay, this is a great chance to build up those things I was talking about with Boba and Cad, and then it's Luke and Ahsoka, who literally like, sure, you can say Mando is related to Boba's story, therefore Grogu is related to Mando's related to Boba's story, therefore
Mhm.
Luke is related to blah blah blah, and then Ahsoka like, but they have they don't even know that Tatooine still exists. Luke, he thinks it's been blown up.
Yeah, so my theory is, and this isn't really out there or anything, my theory is that they probably did this because they knew there was going to be a 2-year break between Mandalorian seasons, and they knew that they had to do something to keep the Mandalorian kind of like in the, zeitgeist.
Yeah,
Um, like I truly believe that if the Mandalorian would, I mean, I guess this is kind of obvious, but if the Mandalorian would have been coming out right after the show, these episodes wouldn't have existed.
yeah,
Um, they just like, and there's never really going to be a break like this again, which is kind of crazy. Star Wars shows for the next 3, 4, 5 years or longer are probably just going to be running nonstop. Um, which is really good time to be a Star Wars YouTuber, but
hopefully, or there's just so much
yeah,
content that we're superfluous and no one cares about the extra stuff they've gotten their full. Like, are Marvel YouTubers a big thing?
yeah,
Are they? I've never
yeah.
seen Marvel YouTube. So
No, they are. Well,
okay,
I had
thank
never
God.
seen Star Wars YouTube before I started, but um, there's actually a few Star Wars YouTubers who've got a Marvel page as well. But what was I gonna say? Uh, yeah. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I want a season 2 to exist. I remember when Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, and we were like play testing some of the features and stuff. I was talking to some of the EA devs, and I was just frank. I was like, I love Starfighter Assault, but like, why did you bother? Because it bifurcates the game essentially. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they're like, because there's nothing else right now, and we feel like we've got to do everything we can to keep. We
Yeah,
feel like we've got so many Star Wars fans we want to please, and I feel like this was sort of a lesser version of that,
right.
where if this was a show that came out while there was more going on, it probably could have been smaller scale and a bit more kind of about Boba Fett, and that's why I hope we get season 2. But whereas this is kind of trying to keep all the crazy momentum that Star Wars probably unexpectedly gained from The Mandalorian, it probably affected the integrity of this show in a way, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of that, but eh, I'm not sure which of the upcoming shows are going to be that much smaller in scope either, because like this was kind of that chance with how it was set up.
Hmm.
But Ahsoka is going to be presumably the big thing leading into the next major plot line. Uh,
Hmm.
I guess Lando, if Lando is still happening, be
I mean, I
smaller.
don't think I'm not sure like Andor I like is going to be set in one time period that's kind of divorced from everything else going on right now.
Well, Andor is going to
Um
be like such a big topic with like exploring the rebellion in probably a similar
yeah.
way to Rogue One. Maybe it will
Hmm.
be a lot more focused because there are so many other stories going over
Like
the
I'd call
rebellion in that
Rogue One a
period.
pretty focused show,
Yeah,
even
but
though it had
more on
Vader in it
the
or movie.
galactic implications. Like
Hmm.
it's about getting the Death Star planned, which I think is a pretty big. You
Yeah,
have the Ghost in there, so there's a nice
yeah.
crossover for you. How long do you think until Hera shows up in live action?
Probably less than a year.
Yeah,
Whenever Andor comes out,
yeah.
I assume she'll
Okay.
be in that. Um,
Andor, Ahsoka, she's gonna be the next Fennec, showing up in everything.
yeah, and she's been in a lot. Like she's like low key probably the most used new EU character because she's been in video games. She starred in Squadrons. She's starred in books, and of course Rebels, and she was in the Clone Wars. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Did Fennec interact with Cad Bane and Bad Batch? I forget if like she
yeah. Don't
rescued
they fight? Don't they fight when they're in like
trying to get Omega.
the Kaminoan
Yeah.
like facility? Yeah,
Okay. Yes, I wasn't sure if that was
Fever
uh
Dream.
if that had actually happened. Yeah. So that would have that's kind of a missed opportunity there, I think. As much as that would have been more fan service of what if these characters did so, but that's a backstory that exists that
Hmm.
if Cad Bane had been given a bit more room, uh, would have made sense to
Oh,
have.
one thing I forgot about last episode is I was really surprised how brutally they killed all the crime bosses. Like
Yeah,
they
she just goes
hung
in
or
and wipes
hanged
them.
the Ithorian, and an Ithorian is all neck. It can't be easy to hang
Yeah.
one of those things.
So he's yeah, like I was pretty sure he was going to finish going up into the ceiling. It was going to be like a pulling him out and then
Yeah,
shooting him and drop
no,
off
they
the
just
sides. Like, oh god, no,
broke his
they
neck.
just went for it. Okay,
Yeah,
Fennec doesn't fuck around.
no. And people were like, "Why isn't Boba doing that?" So like, that's was never. She's an assassin. That's like what she does. Like
Yeah,
that would was never Boba's thing.
Boba would like use high tech gadgets to
Hmm.
blow up the whole room.
Hmm.
But I, on the one hand, you know he's going to get the Rancor, but on the other hand, you kind of think like, why aren't you going to get Slave One?
Yeah, for sure. And like the rationale or the explanation is obvious because it's a western and you got to run through the town killing people.
Hmm.
But yeah, also could have been cool to see Slave One.
Well, yeah, it's like you just fly Slave One into
I
the
can't.
not protodeck, a Scorpionic.
Whenever the when the Rancor gets its name finally, I'm gonna make a joke about how it's not that name; it's Boba Fett's Rancor. It's gonna be
Just
funny.
bide your time.
Yeah, so I can't wait till it gets its name. I'm gonna be making a post about it and be super cheesy.
I was very tempted to buy the Boba Fett Starship Lego set in Walmart yesterday. I had to go to the store.
I'm gonna buy the Luke uh Dark Trooper one because it's like $30.
Oh, is that? I didn't know that was when that was coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out in March. It's like just the hallway. There's like three Dark Troopers. But no, I've been kind of tempted to buy some of them too. Like some of the Mandalorian stuff looks pretty cool.
Yeah, like I'm still waiting to get my Titanic. I absolutely am buying a Titanic Lego set. It's gonna be gigantic. But like
Mhm.
Lego is the one aisle that I'd always go to when I go
Oh,
to
for
the
sure.
store. I have not
Yeah.
bought Lego in ever. Actually, I don't think I
Hmm.
ever did.
Hmm.
Because I
It's expensive.
yeah, but I go and look at the aisle and see what's there every time. And then
Hmm.
I look at the price tag and then I leave.
Does the Slave One come with like the Mando figurine as well? It does, doesn't it?
I don't remember. I don't know. But it I didn't that one didn't even have a price tag, but there was another ship next to it that was like $70 for fewer pieces, so
Hmm.
I just left.
can always buy the $899 Millennium Falcon or $850 Star
Yeah.
Destroyer.
I'm doing the the $800 Titanic instead. I need something
Well,
that's not Star
well,
Wars.
I've got the $200 Queer Eye set.
Yeah. Well, that's for Kelsey though, so you need to have your own.
No, it's not. It's for me.
Oh, I thought you told us it was for her.
Yeah, well, I was just coming to terms with the fact that it's for me.
Well, I was gonna say you could go get a different one now as well, and then you can both
Oh yeah,
share
no, it's
them.
for Kelsey. You're right.
Well, yeah. Because I like Star Wars stuff. I'd love to have a nice Star Wars Lego. The Executor would be a lot of fun as well. But
I don't think that would be fun. I think it's so much gray and so repetitive that it would be less fun than a normal set.
well, yeah, like the Titanic has other colors going on,
Yeah,
and
the
like
Titanic does, but the Executor.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm going
Oh
for the
yeah.
Titanic instead of a Star Wars set. Where like I have all this. This is all Star Wars and some Pikmin and shit.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's a chance if I get a Titanic that I can put it outside of my little
Hmm.
office area without Dana just shoving it back down here someday. But
You know, I'm looking on Lego and like everything Star Wars is out of stock, so it's like
yeah,
good luck anyway.
everything is out of stock. My sister's
But
been buying Lego allegedly for my nephew.
mm,
Uh where it's just like the character heads, Marvel character heads, which he doesn't want to
mhm.
fucking play with. It's for her.
Yeah,
She
that's
should
the.
just
Are
annoy.
you serious? That's the worst toy ever for a kid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She buys them, my brother-in-law builds them, and then they go up on a shelf where my nephews can't play with them. So she needs to just admit who it's for. But anyways, yeah, that's all out of stock. But
The Razor Crest is kind of sick, actually. I don't like the ship that much. Well, I like the ship. I just think it's ugly. But it comes with Grief Karga, the Mandalorian, IG-11, Baby Yoda, and a Stormtrooper, and the ship. Plus, like,
yeah.
it's got like he's got a somebody in carbonite, and I can eventually smash it. It should be fun.
But you were saying with episode 6
Mm.
that you thought the choice Luke was presenting was going to be uh he'd ultimately let him have both.
I still think okay, so I don't think I still think he did. I still don't think he's doing the old Jedi thing.
Yeah.
I think he's probably not making a like I think Luke is kicking Grogu out not because he's abiding by doctrine, but because he honestly doesn't think it's in his best interest.
Well, I think
Like
the thing that keeps like the more important part is when Luke said his heart isn't in it. Not
exactly.
that like, oh, you still have this attachment to the Mandalorian. And like he was definitely trying to warn Grogu about attachments because he
Hmm.
knows himself how he almost got everyone killed. Like as much as it
Yeah.
did help him save Vader or redeem his father, he
Mhm.
almost got everyone killed when he ran off to Cloud City and left Yoda.
Yeah.
So he knows both sides of how that can be both good and harmful. But
Mhm.
the main thing that made him uh, give Grogu that choice is because Grogu didn't seem like he was that interested in being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Again, his heart wasn't in it, and so like I think if he had picked the lightsaber, for example, he would have got to keep the Beskar.
Yeah. And I still
Um,
think he'll end up with Yoda's lightsaber. Like I don't think Luke was like it's a nice symbolic thing in the moment, but I don't think Luke was going to be like, "Okay, this is something you're never going to have."
yeah, I was expecting him to pull it out during the battle, actually, but
I wasn't going that far with it, but I still think there's a chance he'll get some sort of extra training with Luke at
mhm.
some point, but he's probably more in the Ahsoka camp where like Jedi just isn't what he wants to be.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's
like
still just a kid, so he's
yeah.
got time. Like he'll be, you know, he can go probably train with Ray at some point, and still, like he won't be much
Yeah.
older. He'll
We'll
be
have
a kid.
a movie with like Ray, Crook, and Grogu going around the galaxy. He should have instead of having the Beskar and Yoda's lightsaber, it should have been the Beskar and Crook's hat.
I would have loved if they set it up in Mandalorian season 2 for Luke, and it's just Kakruk fighting down the Dark Troopers.
You should just get digitally edited into every Star Wars scene with Jedi in it.
Oh my God! It's what's his name from Dark Empire? Cam Solusar. That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
What we've lost.
No one would recognize him. He's only been in. See, like if it were Kyle Katarn and they tried to make a Kyle Katarn, I think I would know. I'd be like, okay, he's wearing a shirt kind of like the one I'm wearing now, probably with some yellow underneath. He's got a gun out at the same time. Like, yeah, that's that's Kyle Katarn. He's got a big hole in his chest from being stabbed by Jason. Yeah, it's Kyle. But like Cam Solusar, I would have no fucking clue. I don't even know what the dude looks like.
He looks like just the blandest man you could imagine. Actually, second blandest, because Kent Hamner is the blandest.
No, because when you say Kent Hamner, I think, okay, he's an old man. He's an old prospector.
No, he's old military guy.
That's sorry, I was thinking of Streen. Yeah, you're right. Kent Hamner is kind of boring, but at least I know he's a dick.
He's just too stringent. The same way that like Zek and Kip are the same character, I always kind of thought of Kent and Cam as being the same character.
Yeah, Zek and Kip are totally the same character.
So unnecessary to make whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about the big CGI bear in the room.
Right.
What's your take? Just give me your take. Everyone's got a take. Give me yours.
I think it looks good. I think it sounded fine. Mm-hmm. I don't like necessarily the implications of the technology being used that way. I'm happy that Mark Hamill is happy with it in this instance, but like I don't necessarily love where that's going to be going as far as safety for voice actors in the future, or listening to the live action Thrawn trilogy with Luke, Han, and Leia made 50 years after both Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford die.
Yeah, it's tough because I can't figure out how I feel about it too, because on one hand it's like I really like it in that episode more than Mando season 2. I really liked it. I would have liked it even more, I think, had a voice actor done it, and I think that wouldn't have been intrusive at all, considering like, you know, voice acting is something that you could match a lot more easily than someone's face.
I've seen a lot of people saying that like, oh, Mark Hamill's a voice actor, he should have done it, but like he did the Forces and Destiny thing. It's not great.
Yeah, he's an older man now. Like he doesn't sound like he would when he was in his 20s.
It'd be more believable to have someone else who sounds more that age do it than have like actual Mark Hamill do his younger voice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so like it's hard for me because for me, I always had, you know, watching Solo, I sometimes didn't feel like the character was the same character. You know what I mean? Like I sometimes didn't feel like that character was Han Solo.
But where Mark Hamill is comfortable with himself being used in that way, I don't think Harrison Ford would ever have been.
Well, I got bad news for him. Indiana Jones 4 is coming out, and it's definitely going to be young Harrison Ford scenes.
Yeah, but like for a full movie of, I don't know. I don't think we'd ever be able to get. I don't think I would actually like that either. Of a whole movie of them being de-aged like that, or not de-aged, but like entirely digitally reconstructed for it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. It gets weird at that point, especially when it's the three soulless machines interacting with each other.
I mean, I liked the recast. I thought it was a good recasting for Han. I'd be fine with that happening with Luke. So I'd probably prefer that over trying to like digitally plaster people into. Even though I do think it looked really good, I think it sounded really good. I think it's great for cameo stuff like that. But I don't know. You
know, it's interesting too. We got another small look at a possibility in Revenge of the Sith with the Tarkin. Obviously, you know, he's just on the bridge for a second talking to, I think it's Palpatine or maybe Vader.
I mean, you know, that also in Rogue One.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's the, you know, they went with the D, but in Revenge of the Sith, he's not de-aged. He's got prosthetics on.
Yeah,
like it's not. And it's kind of funny too because what's the guy's name? Is it Guy Henry who played Tarkin in Revenge of the Sith? or sorry, Revenge of the Sith. In Rogue One, they should have just went with his face because he looked a lot like Tarkin. Yeah.
Like, I was at the time when Rogue One came out, like I was
Look up Guy Henry Tarkin and look at the one where he's got all the motion tracker beads on his face.
okay. But
Because
like at
that
the time, I wasn't up. Like I was not. I didn't agree with the criticisms of it, but I've kind of gotten more on board with it
Mhm.
more as we go on. Of like, okay, maybe this is a little bit creepy. Like I thought
the
Leia looked great. I thought Tarkin was fine, but
the problem that we have now that we didn't have, so like it's easy in the prequels. You cast young Mon Mothma, that's fine because we don't know what young Mon Mothma looked like. But
mhm.
when you get to like when they want to do their big Thrawn type thing or whatever it is, it's tough because we know the start point of like what the characters looked like when they were younger, what they looked like when they were in the older. So I think a lot of people are going to be thrown off by having Sebastian Stan step in as Luke. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like I feel like they're kind of in a lose-lose situation because they've made such like revolutionary technology. Yeah, I don't know what they should do. Like I don't know. Like just to be honest, I don't know if I would have reacted the same way at the Mandalorian season 2 if it had been somebody else. And like I'll never know. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just weird because like
Mm-hmm.
30 years down the line, when they're still making the Young Adventures of Luke and Han, like what's the solution there? Like what's gonna
Hopefully be
be
animated.
like what's
Yeah.
what's the least weird way to do that if that's gonna happen? And is that a thing that then needs to happen if there's that many questions around what you're doing? Like I do think it would be very difficult to have these stories and not have Luke anywhere in them.
Hmm.
Whether the best way to do that on all fronts is going to be an animated solution like a deep fake situation like this, or recasting. I don't know.
Well, the real problem is going to be when Leia comes
Yeah.
because she's dead.
What?
She's gone. Carrie Fisher's gone. Um, and
And
like at
like
that point, I
you had
think
the
you got to
scene.
use Billy Lord, right?
Yeah.
Because she looks like her too, close enough.
Yeah.
And maybe it does get easier at a certain point when they move a little bit away. Like when they get in that midpoint between because like what Mark Hamill in his how he's got like that middle aged makeup in the Last Jedi. He
Hmm.
doesn't look that much like he looks pretty different. So maybe at some point they'll hit that sweet spot where they can tell stories in that time period. But it's gonna be weird. I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah. Like the other way that I've been thinking about it that makes me kind of go back and forth on it is like, well, how do I feel about just like straight up animated shows where like they're doing fundamentally the same thing,
That's true.
just less detailed or more stylized, whereas like animated Luke is still like doing that younger appearance of Mark Hamill, and yeah, it's not exactly him, but it's still his appearance. It's still this other person or machine or whatever that's going to be doing his voice.
I think the difference is that one's not pretending to be the other. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Like
But
with the way
Mhm.
animation goes, like there's kind of a sliding scale of animation qualities and styles that gets like almost realistic. Uh,
Mhm.
that I don't know where's that line.
You know, and you could arguably say the same thing even about clones in Attack of the Clones or George Lucas with any of his CG characters. It's a little different now because you're replacing a specific person, but even with, like Star Wars was one of the first, well, really, Jar Jar was the first fully CG character in a live action movie. Well, not he was one of the first. I think there are some others, but Star Wars is kind of pioneering in that. So I'm kind of curious to, for one, I generally don't give a shit when people reference George Lucas and like what he likes, and especially when it's like George Lucas hated Mara, George Lucas loved this, he hated it. I don't give a shit, but I am actually really curious to hear what he thinks about this because
Yeah.
I think that he would kind of be into it.
Yeah.
I know he definitely. Well, I mean, I don't know anything because I don't know the man, but I think he'd probably be really into the volume as well, which I imagine is why he showed up
Mhm.
in the Mandalorian. I doubt he gives any shit about the story or anything at this point, um, but yeah, I'd be curious to hear his thoughts on the actors thing.
I mean, he had the right way to do it though. Like he really future proofed it, where you just cast the older version, like cast the person first, make them play
Hmm.
the old version first, and then when you
Hmm.
do the prequel 30 years later, then it works out because that's how we got Palpatine, and Palpatine's been
Hmm.
great.
Well, yeah, the same guy the whole time.
Yeah, except
But
for in episode 5.
oh yeah, that's right. They got the other guy for a while.
No, it was a woman
A
first.
woman, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, it's kind of funny how well Ewan McGregor has worked out, isn't it?
yeah.
Because like I swear it's like he's converging with like Alec Guinness in appearance. It's kind of crazy, especially considering how old was he when he was cast? He must have been very early 20s, right? Um, I don't know if like the casting director just kind of had the eye or like or
Well,
what, but
I think
same
it's
with
the
Chewbacca. Great job on
Obi-Wan
Chewbacca.
yeah, like he looks exactly the same.
Hmm.
But I think it's the Obi-Wan casting where there was like some DVD feature or something where they talked about how they were casting for Obi-Wan, and there was like some very specific facial features that they were looking for, like the
Mm,
triangle of like the top of the nose to like the corners down at the bottom of the nose, and it was that Ewan was such a close match for Alec Guinness that was a part of how he got the role.
hmm.
So I don't think
That
that's a
makes sense.
coincidence. I think that's kind of
No, I
just
don't.
by
Yeah, I don't
design.
think it was a coincidence either. But it's just like it's it's like believable at this point that they're the same person.
Hmm.
Like maybe other people don't see it that way, but I don't know. It's just like I feel like he's just. I guess part of it's probably makeup and on purpose and stuff too. But yeah, it's like and it's funny because like on some occasions he does a good job, and then it's like Uncle Owen, not Brew. He's just like fuck it, give me two young attractive people.
Yeah, but now they get to reprise their roles as old Baru and Owen.
Hmm.
How old was Alec Guinness? And yeah, so there's only a 12-year age gap between Ewan now and Alec Guinness in episode 4. So we'll see when
Yeah,
he's doing Force
I
Ghost
heard some
stuff.
crazy. How old was he in 1977?
He was 62, and
Okay,
Ewan is 50 now.
yeah. Mark Hamill. Oh, in 2015, Mark Hamill is now the age of Alec Guinness in 1977. That was 7 years ago. Crazy. But yeah, so there's no people that are gonna be like, so what do they think? Well, there's no easy answer on this.
Yeah.
It's like we're not gonna decide this one issue in a podcast. The episode worked for me though. Like it was maybe a bit too jam packed with cameos, but listen, it was cool. And I think the two kind of extra ones, I think both Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth made sense as well, which helped.
Yeah.
Like one thing I gotta say is people talk about how Star Wars is leaning too much on nostalgia, and to be fair, sometimes they do. But it's also kind of insane how excited people get now over characters that aren't from the movies. Cobb Vanth being revealed is an exciting moment, and he came from The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian being
I mean, he
revealed is an
came from
exciting
fucking
moment.
Aftermath or
Yeah, he came
from
from Aftermath. Yeah, um, and like same with Cad Bane. Like these are like this is Star Wars. You know, like I think to me like a strength of an expanded universe generally is when you get characters that can live on their own, and like the Mandalorian is doing that. You know, lots of EU characters, of course, do that. So yeah, good stuff.
yeah, it's like what my problem with the not problem, but like the downside with the cameos how they are right now for me is just that there was if they had just kept it to just the Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth cameos, I think that would
Hmm.
have allowed
Hmm.
more room to use them a bit better. And
Agreed.
when so much of the shows in season 2 of The Mandalorian and here ended up being those cameos, it doesn't let the new characters especially have that room to breathe and become the cool cameo for next time. Like Fennec got enough room that uh
Mhm.
that Bad Batch ended up being like a cool cameo that, oh, that's Fennec showing up. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
now,
you're right.
who do we get out of this that was given enough time to really shine? Santi?
Well, and that should have been Cobb Vanth
Yeah.
because he's from, in my opinion, the best or second best episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian. And you're right. I was kind of thinking about that myself too, where it's like sometimes it's really easy to go to Luke and Grogu because people are going to love it and it's probably going to be good as well. But if they had been a bit more restrained and kept it to Cad and Cobb, I think that might have been more rewarding in some ways.
Yeah. It's like Luke and Grogu was gonna happen. Like you were gonna get that somewhere.
Mhm.
And I think this would have just been a better opportunity to give some other people the spotlight who are more connected to what's going on.
Yeah, again, I think that comes back to just like they need to keep the like for some people that wouldn't have been enough though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me and you that would have been enough, but for like my mom, maybe not. Or like if Kelsey were watching this series and she didn't watch this one, like she wasn't interested in this until I told her there was a Grogu episode and like now she wants to go back and watch those ones.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. But maybe Kelsey would have just turned out to be a really big fan of a more fleshed out mods group. Drash and
Well, the
we
problem
finally
is I
got their
couldn't get her
names.
I couldn't get her through the door, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in it and I still haven't. Like, so she just wants to watch it before the season 3 comes out. So,
I mean, Mando season 1 was like the biggest thing Star Wars has had in a long time. And it was such a self-contained, relying on new characters thing that like
hmm
we did get those kind of elements out of it. And like I'm not opposed to having the cameos, but when it's every episode or when it's taking over the episodes quite so much, then it's a little bit too much for me.
I mean, you do gotta wonder what Mando season 1 looks like without Grogu though, because he was like pop
Yeah.
culture phenomenon. Yeah.
But Star Wars is always going to have something like cutesy or funny that kind of works in that way. Because BB-8 was the same thing. R2's always kind of been that.
hmm
That
Yeah.
like maybe like you don't strike gold like you did with Grogu every time, obviously. But I'm
Yeah.
not saying like the the secret to Mando's success was just that it was those things, but it clearly the formula can work that way. And if you're going to get anything new out of it, then that's kind of the way you got to do it.
Yeah.
We need
You're right.
something to mine for other content sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think we've kind of talked a lot about anything. Like, do you have closing thoughts or anything? We can get to questions.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season.
What would you like to see
Warts
for
and
season
all.
2 if it happens? Like, give me two, pitch me like 2 ideas.
I already did.
Did you? What were they?
Toto.
Okay. Well, give me another one then.
I don't know what else. Like, I don't know that there needs to be a season 2 for any of the Tatooine based stuff, other than
hmm
like one episode where we get to see standing up and stretching for 15 minutes. I'll be satisfied with that because then we just, hey, you're good. Let's go do something else. Like maybe if Boba is trying to expand off Tatooine or let us know what Boba's actually doing with this underworld criminal faction other than protect
hmm
Mos Espa. But
Yeah,
if
I
that's
want to
it, then
see him
that's fine
like
too.
go to Narshada and not for any like story reason. I just want to go to Narshada.
Well, we still don't know what Boba's actually going to do with this crime syndicate that he wanted to set
hmm
up. We know he's
Yeah.
protected Mos Espa from the Pikes, and that's a good thing. That's a nice goal he's accomplished. But what is he doing now?
See, that's the thing that kind of does lead me to believe that there's a season 2, unless they really were just spinning their tires and they're like, we need to put some content out. I don't know. They spent a lot of time developing Boba in those first episodes, and like for me, it like, and this is maybe a criticism of the season, but it does feel like a lot of it was spent building the foundations. So I just feel like it'd be a shame to waste that now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not wasted because you can tell it in other mediums, but it's wasted in a way.
Yeah, like Boba could become the cameo character that we're complaining about taking over time on other shows now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our thoughts. Those were our thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett, episodes 6, 7, and also the season. Should we get to some emails, Mr. Corey?
We will get to some emails. For anyone who ducks out during the emails, next week we will be doing the second book of the Hand of Thrawn duology.
Have you started it?
I have started it. Vision of the Future, a nice 700-page read. So get started early and often. Have you started it yet?
Yeah, let me check. I'm actually decently in. I've got 16 hours left in my audiobook, so I'm like probably over a third in. What part are you at?
I think I'm less than 50 pages in. I'm not super far at all.
I'm like they just got in the facility on near one. Mara's been shot.
Oh, spoiler.
Yep.
But yeah, so we'll be talking about Vision of the Future next week. The week after that, I don't think we've decided.
I don't think so.
Week after that will be Survivor's Quest. And then I was actually thinking for 99, maybe we'll do just like a straight up question episode. We did one of those before. Sure. People seem to like that. Just wrap up the first 99 episodes of Tapcaf before we get into the new and improved episode 100 on. But yeah, so questions. We have a bunch. We have actually 69 in our inbox right now, 69 emails.
Nice.
So we're not going to get to 69 emails. Most of them are from HelloFresh. It's fine. Shit, I just gave him the sponsorship.
Oh, no.
All right, delete the episode. We'll restart. Hello, everyone.
Actually,
welcome to another episode.
I've got a HelloFresh meal to cook for my channel, so.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Kelsey's getting mad at me because we get the meal box already, and they sent more for the sponsorship. So like my fridge is too full of food, which is the most first world problem of all time. It's not really food though; it's like packaging and like boxes and shit. But yeah.
Well, now we've done even more free product placement.
Yep.
So good job on that. Our first question comes from Dakota, one of the ones we got for last week's episode, asking us, do you think The Mandalorian Season 3 will be about the Mando attempting to bathe in the waters of the mines of Mandalore and contacting Bo-Katan? Imagine a scenario where they gather an army of Mandalorians and take back the planet from their Imperial overlords. The moment comes down to him choosing the sacred well, he turns his back on his teaching.
I genuinely have no clue. I thought about this after episode 5, and I have no idea what The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be.
Yeah. Like, he's definitely going to be...
return now.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be kind of giving up the Children of the Watch teachings at some point, and I think we've kind of hit a breaking point with that, but I don't know, like, if it'll be a whole season of us watching him do something we know he's going to ultimately turn his back on in some way. But we did watch a season of him sending Grogu to Jedi school and for him to turn his back on that one episode later. Before the next show, he was, so what do I know? Never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah.
You have one open?
No.
Okay,
sorry.
Cool. Thanks.
I thought you would read them.
All of them? There's a lot of them.
You read the next one, I'll get the one after that. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of emails, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to stick to the ones just about Book of Boba Fett so far, but there's some we can. Well, we'll probably just ask you read.
Let me see.
Khalil's there, but that was a question for before this episode, I think. It was about Cadbane and Boba dueling. If you think Cadbane and Boba will duel, I guess we can answer that. I do think they will duel.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll read Aaron's next.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not up on any Obi-Wan show rumors. Me neither. When we see Grogu's memory of Order 66, he is taken captive by the clones. I don't know if that's true. What if somehow Obi-Wan learns that Grogu survived? Could this be one of the few things that would propel him to leave Tatooine? Is he the one that rescues Grogu? It's a theory.
Yeah, I don't think Obi-Wan will be the one that rescues him. I think, like, there's the whole Barris's symbol on the door nearby thing. Is it going to be her? I think I'd put that as more likely than Obi-Wan, at least. But
Yeah. Okay, slightly off topic, but I want to read this one because it's pretty well. It's very it's written out and everything. And it's got a lot of substance to it. This is from Seamus, who says, when reading Thrawn Ascendancy Lesser Evil, he feels like that we, especially me, wouldn't have given it such high rating if Timothy Zahn's name wasn't attached. Not that this was a mistake or anything, but he's asking kind of, is it hard to rate media without kind of your perceptions and being biased by the real world context? And for me, I definitely struggle with that. Like for me, knowing that it's Timothy Zahn writing, there's probably a higher baseline than an author I don't like.
Yeah, for sure. Like going in some cases, it can be harmful to it, where it's like going in knowing it's Timothy Zahn, for example, and then is that going to raise your expectations? And if the thing isn't quite good enough, is that going to lower it more than it would have otherwise? But it's kind
Mhm.
of impossible to not have uh, your opinions skewed by contextual elements like that, whether it's who
Yeah.
wrote it, who you're talking to after the fact, what their opinions are. Because, like, I'm sure both of us have had our opinions retroactively changed about a book we literally just read based on conversations we've had here or the impression the other gave. Not through, like, oh, you like this thing, I'm going to convince you not to, or you didn't, I'm going to convince you to, but just like hearing you talk about Lesser Evil, even
Hmm.
probably lower, or the Ascendancy trilogy probably lowered my opinion of it. Uh, just talking me down from my Chiss high horse.
Hmm.
But I think there's a lot of factors that can influence it. Like I
Yeah, for sure.
remember distinctly there being a moment when I was watching The Rise of Skywalker where I was like, I'm gonna get home and the internet is gonna be just absolutely bitching about this movie, but I'm enjoying this part of it, so fuck the rest of that. And like obviously I don't have the highest opinion of The Rise of Skywalker, but in that moment watching the movie, especially, there were a lot of parts of it that I just enjoyed as scenes in the movie that coming out of it do get influenced in different ways.
Yeah, I'm like that a lot too, especially where like it's a bit difficult where YouTube's my job now, so
Yeah,
it's like a lot. I spend a lot of time thinking about like just kind of selfishly like, okay, what does this mean?
yeah,
And like I honestly shouldn't, because I could probably get more views when something's bad and I'm bitching about it. But yeah.
yeah. Definitely end up just because of what we do thinking a lot more about any of that stuff than if we were just reading it on for sure.
Yeah.
But the next question comes from Jeff, who asks, I'm curious on your thoughts on the show explicitly revealing the Ahsoka and Luke connection as so personal and familiar. It provides an amazing opportunity to tie canon, Clone Wars, Rebels, Thrawn together, similar to the way that the expanded universe did. Alternatively, it seems to raise a lot of potential for plot holes given how much direct experience and knowledge Ahsoka had about the Republic, the Jedi Order, the Clone Wars, Maul, etc. Personally, I could see Ahsoka and Luke doing the Vision of the Future Nero Fortress invasion while investigating Thrawn in place of Mara and Luke, or going to the Crystal Caves on Ilum. Do you have any ideas for the future Mando content involving the two of them together that are now enabled by this?
I kind of feel like they may do a bit of let our imagination go for it, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know if they're really going to outline what they discussed. And like I think she kind of serves as a way for us to now assume that Luke knows most of the things that we know.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think we're gonna have the scenes of them really hashing it out.
Yeah. Like the main takeaways from their relationship are probably going to be things that are just basic knowledge that we don't need to see them exchanging because like we know it. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of the interesting differences between Legends and canon here, where in Legends, when you're seeing Luke set up the Jedi Order and trying to do all this stuff to figure out what the Jedi were like, it was because like there was a real world reflection there where the audience had all these questions like, oh, what was the Jedi Order before that Obi-Wan and Yoda were from? And there's some wild ass shit that some of the old books think the Jedi Order were like, and that Luke therefore thinks the Jedi Order were like, which ends up fitting because it's like there's no way he could have known, there's no way the author could have known, there's no way any of us could have known. But
Yep.
if we saw that now, I think it'd be more frustrating than anything. like reading a 500-page book about how Luke uh Luke thinks Yoda spent 500 years on Dagobah and that was how the Jedi worked. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
much happier just saying like, oh, Ahsoka gave him the lowdown here. That's how he knows some of these tenets of the Jedi. She's coming away with it with a very different opinion of the Jedi than Luke is going to have,
Mm-hmm.
where he's trying to like reestablish that tradition. She's like, hey, maybe that kind of sucked. Then we kind of hear Yoda say, yeah, we fucked that one up later. But
Yeah, that was not great.
page turners, they were not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just like now if somebody mentions Darth Maul, it's like, and Luke happens to be there, it's like, okay, if he responds, there's a reason why. Oh, Ahsoka must have filled him in.
Yeah. It saves the audience some
Uh,
busy work. So thank you, Ahsoka, for that.
yeah. Okay, so let's get to some more here. Clam says, Clam, the daimyo of Empire War Expanded. Or sorry, he's asking you as the daimyo of Empire War Expanded. Why don't missiles penetrate? There's the recurring question: why don't missiles penetrate shields? And in this episode, sorry, I'm just completely reading this wrong. Oh, okay, this is the question is distilled. Is episode 7 of the Book of Boba Fett the best illustration of how shields work in Star Wars? We see several characteristics of combination ray/particle shielding, including, as Mando points out, that they stop both energy and projectile weapons. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know about best. Like, I think it's a good representation of some different shield mechanics, but
Mhm.
like shielding just kind of works differently wherever it ends up showing up. Uh, this is our best visual representation of shields in action that we get for
Mhm.
anything, because usually it's just, oh, shields are up, let's not go through that, and then they're down,
Yeah.
and then you do stuff about it. But here we get to see people actually fighting and working around them. Like even the droideka in episode 1, it's like, oh, shields up, we leave. We'll
Mhm.
force speed down the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Okay, let's get to the next one. Do you want to read the next one, Corey?
Sure. Was curious. This is from Neil, who asked, I was curious to hear your guys' take on redemption of Boba Fett's character. Seems aside from the Emperor, popular villains are often redeemed: Vader, Thrawn, and now Boba. I'm not against the Boba redemption, but we would have liked to see a bit more crescendo than the light switch we got. Even light switch change we got. Even his appearance in Mando season 2, his character was different, more intimidating than anything we got in the Book of Boba. For example, when he threatens to shoot Grogu for his armor.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't think he's a nice guy. I think he just kind of takes care of his own. It's the same with Fennec. Like we see Fennec, like from the perspective of Omega in the Bad Batch. Rekka is, not that nice
Rika?
when you're not on her side. Rekka. So yeah, and I think that's kind of still the case with Boba Fett. He's
Yeah.
not evil, but
He
he's not a
sees Mos Espa as
yeah,
his place now, his family,
yeah, exactly.
his town.
Yeah.
That's always important to him. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely like a bit of a redemption, but like Boba's never been an out and out evil character. He was just like badass bounty hunter at worst.
Hmm.
And then he got eaten. He's changed a bit since being eaten, so that's nice. Because like we get everything we see with the Tuscans kind of does soften him a little bit and makes him more open to that kind of thing. So I don't think
Hmm.
it's quite so much of a light switch. I don't think he's quite as bad to begin with as some of the other people.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let me read the next one here. Just reading this one. Chris emailed us about kind of Baby Yoda and Luke. I think we kind of talked about that a little bit in the podcast, so maybe we'll save that. William says, longtime listener and big fan. I was wondering your opinion on Luke's training philosophy as shown in the Book of Boba Fett episode 6, and how you think it might relate to the failure of his academy prior to the sequel trilogy. On one hand, I prefer his Legends approach, and then he kind of compares that with Kylo. Yeah, I just don't think we know enough yet about how Luke is, because
Yeah,
like he takes Kylo in, and Kylo's clearly old at the time he starts training, and he
yeah.
clearly has
Grogu's
attachments.
50.
So
So
yeah.
I do think there's been a disproportionately large focus on the attachments element in
Hmm.
episode or in chapter 6 compared to the his heart's not in it. Like the
Hmm.
attachments are definitely an element of it, and I think there's a lot of ways you can look at like why Luke would still be wary of attachments, even if he's not trying to stonewall them in the same way the Clone Wars era Jedi Order was.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see how it kind of evolves from there. Because, like, obviously, he's not training Leia as a Jedi and Ben as a Jedi, saying like you have to have no attachments outside this. He's listing
Mm-hmm.
these extenuating, or not extenuating, these aggravating circumstances for why it might be worse for Grogu and why Grogu needs to be prepared to have some sort of detachment from the Mandalorian. He's not going to see him very often if he becomes a Jedi, not because of a rule forbidding it. Like Luke is listing these practical reasons that Grogu's relationship with the Mandalorian will be fundamentally different if he's a Jedi versus not.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, Grogu already doesn't seem like his heart is in it. So, yeah, I don't think it's quite such a departure from the Legends. You can actually have family situation.
No, I agree. Uh, like the whole, I don't think that Luke's kind of failing with Kylo or Ben is related to training. I think it's just a moment of weakness for him, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joel says, as much fun as I'm having with the book of Boba Fett on the whole, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There were too many cooks in the kitchen, he feels, and too many people wanted to be Mandalorian 2.5. In all honesty, unless they have a really good idea for Boba, I'd rather his story folded back into the Mandalorian proper. So not really a question, but just a comment. Thank you very much, Joel. Jacob asks us, he's got 2 questions. Is Boba's rancor the same one from the Bad Batch? And it's not. I think that's been confirmed, right? Because it's a. I think we know it's not, but I'm not positive.
I don't know.
I think it's a different gender, maybe. Although I don't know who's getting close enough to check out rancor bits. And then, do you think or want Cad to survive? So I think we talked
Yeah,
about
we
whether
did.
we think. Do you want him to survive?
Cad, not really. Like, I want, like, on a personal level, I want him to survive. On a narrative
Mhm.
level, I'm glad that I want him to survive, but I hope he doesn't,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't want him to survive, but I know like if he does, I'll end up being excited. So fuck,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm attached to the character enough that I want him in more things, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I also hope that they don't fulfill that desire
Mhm.
because I think that would ultimately be a worse choice.
So the last question is from Tim, 70 now. I guess he just messaged us. He says, "How long was Boba in the Sarlacc and with the Tuscans?" He says the time frame is weird, and I think this is kind of one of the show's weak points because it's like a couple of years, right? So that he's with the Tuscans in total
Yeah, he's with the Tuscans for a while.
for years because he gets out pretty much immediately.
Yeah,
Um,
he's not in the Sarlacc for more than like a day or two.
and what is it? Are we 6 years after now or so? 5 years after Return of the Jedi?
I think is it 8 ABY? So I think it's only 4 years
Okay.
because
So,
he's presumably he's with the Tuscans for a bit. He gets his ship back, and I guess he pretty quickly ends up going and looking for his armor. We know Cobb has the armor for a while too, so we have a rough time period there.
mhm. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
So I
it.
think that's pretty much all we have. So a little longer podcast episode tonight, I think. We're at what, about an hour? Actually, not
Yeah,
really, an hour and a half, pretty much right on the dot. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, we will be with Vision of the Future on next Thursday. Quite a read, so get started if you haven't. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Anything you want to end with, Corey?
never.
No. Okay. Okay.
Thanks for listening. Leave a review on wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll try to read some of those for at the very least episode 99.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we'll
Yeah.
we'll definitely. I think we will commit to doing a question episode before we get to episode 100, so we can just get out some of those other questions we've had to skip over in prior weeks. At that point, we'll
Yeah,
probably ask
so
people to
you should
resubmit.
probably email, yeah, resend it because honestly, we're not going back that far. We get a lot, which is great. So if we miss one, probably best to just kind of get it back in front
Yeah.
of us.
We'll ask we'll put a call out for that before we do on the
Mhm.
episode before we do that episode. So don't send them in just
Yeah,
yet if you're going to
best
be
to
asking
wait.
questions for that. Wait
Yep.
until that is the next episode up and then we'll put the call out again. We'll
And
probably
then
do
maybe
like
in the
chat questions on that as well.
yeah, maybe in the future we should try to once every couple of months or so have a questions episode.